What's poppin'? We got the house history class, man. Happy Corona break, y'all.
You know what it is. Go ahead, like and subscribe to the channel. This is where you finna learn about the history. You feel me? Tune in.
Straight like that.
Welcome back, guys. Coach Howell's Day 3 quarantine. Got a new video for you. It's going to be the rise of the American city. It's going to piggyback off of our last lesson, which is the Transcontinental Railroad. Now, I'm going to go ahead and apologize for having to make that 2 videos. It was just a lot of content. I'm going to try to keep my videos from here on out at 10 minutes or a little over 10 minutes, 15 being the max. Maybe for our guest speaker tomorrow, it might be a little longer. But we're just going to kind of see with the amount of people using YouTube, the amount of teachers that are on the platform, kind of hard to upload videos. Now, some of you have been reaching out to me, Coach, I can't print the notes. Coach, my notes are not working for your computer, all of that. Doesn't matter. If you don't want to use notes, scratch them. I'm going to lecture, since it's going to be smaller, I'm just going to lecture the main parts of the notes. So you're not going to get the full version of history. So if you're watching this expecting a full lecture, this is not it. You're just going to get the short and condensed version. If you follow along with my lecture, you'll be able to fill in the notes packets, and the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is the stuff that should be highlighted if we were in class. So my strategy is, if you can't get the notes to work, or you can't type on them, or you can't print them, or you don't have access, or whatever, Schoology's not working for you, just do what I've been doing of jotting down kind of the major stuff that I'm saying, right? So for the Transcontinental Railroad, I told you all should kind of annotate it or take notes as I'm talking, and then I'll post my own notes the next day. So along with this lecture will be the Transcontinental Railroad notes, and then when I post our guest speaker on Friday on Schoology, I will post these notes on the blog for you to have. So again, rise of the American city, we're gonna get started. The big thing is with the steel processing industry. So the steel industry, big guy is gonna come out, his name's Andrew Carnegie. He brings something over to the United States called the Bessemer process. You're like, why does that matter? The Bessemer process is important because it takes the amount of time to transform iron into steel, and it makes it go like that. It's a lot faster. So you're thinking, okay, again, why does that matter? Because when you can make something faster, you can make more of it. When you can make more of it, you make more money. So the Bessemer process and Andrew Carnegie, we're going to be talking about a lot of these like tycoons. He's known as a steel tycoon. And he's going to come to the United States, and he's bringing the Bessemer process, and he's going to be making a whole lot of steel, right? What are we using steel for at this time? The railroad. Okay, besides the railroad, you're also using it for cities, right? The rise of the American city. I'm talking New York, I'm talking San Francisco, I'm talking all these places, but specifically New York. If you think of New York, you'll think of everything steel. You'll think of skyscrapers, elevators, bridges, just the railroad, major cities. So think of New York, and you should think of the process of steel. So, right, so as the steel industry goes up, so does those things I just talked about. Steel industry going up leads to the rise in the railroad, the cities, the bridges, elevators, skyscrapers, etc. All this stuff. You're also going to see towns start to boom that are steel towns, right? I don't know if you all know this, but a big town that starts to like spur and is known for its steel is Pittsburgh. So for my football people out there, that's why they're called the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Kind of learned that with the San Francisco 49ers and the 49 Gold Rush. Okay, the more you know, right? I'm sure random trivia spot somewhere in your life, you will need that fact. So working on the railroad, talked about 2 immigrants, talked about the Irish, talked about the Chinese. All right, well, let's pause, because on your little note packet on the back, it's going to talk about, okay, where are these people coming from, and how are they getting into the United States? So when you're talking immigration in the United States, you're really talking about 3 periods at this point. So first, you're going to have the Colonial Period. They're coming from Western Europe, which is really, they're just coming from Britain. Why? Because they own us, so they're going to bring their people here. Then you have that time period from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War. This is when you're going to have a lot of people from the Northern Europe, meaning you're going to have a lot of people from Ireland and Germany coming over here. Okay, this makes sense with the Irish. I've talked to you about during the Civil War, you know, you have a lot of Irish people that are coming, and they're coming through the immigration gates, and they're saying, oh, congratulations, welcome to America. You want to be an American? Yes, sir, I do. How bad? I want it more than anything else. Congratulations, boom, join the Union Army. So that's one of those things that we talk about when you're looking at the major difference between the North and the South of the Civil War. But after the Civil War, so post-Civil War, they're going to be coming from Eastern Europe, which is really, this is your Poland and your Russia. Now, why are immigrants coming to America? Why is that so important? Okay, and the reason that's so important is we talked about this idea of cheap labor. So with cheap labor, like anything else, the cheaper the labor of doing something, the more money that person keeps in his pocket. Meaning if I own a business, okay, and let's say I'm making a profit of $100 a day. All right, let's say I employ you. Well, if I'm paying you $10 an hour and you work for 8 hours, that means I have to pay you $80. Okay, so my profit line is only 20. Then I'm not really making any money because that'd be my time for free, right? So the idea is I would like to pay you the least amount as possible. Why? So that I can make more money. Of course, I wouldn't do that to you, but that's what they're thinking. So cheap labor is going to equal more money in the overall business, which is what people want, right? We live in a capitalist society. Now, talk about these immigrants coming in. I want to highlight and touch on where they're coming from, right? So when you're talking about New York, if any of you have ever been to New York City and you've done the little tour thing, little hop on, hop off, and you bought a little boat ride out to old Ellis Island, this is where many Europeans are coming in. So you're going to have Ellis Island in New York City. If you can connect Ellis Island, New York City, check. The other flip side, okay, where most of your Asian immigrants are coming in, especially your Chinese immigrants, this is in San Francisco, and this is Angel Island, all right, and that's where they're coming in. They're coming in very, very high, rapid numbers, all right. Now, they're going to be two different things based on how easy it is for you to get in and how many of you there are letting in, you being immigrants, right? So in Ellis Island, it kind of works like this. You show up, they make sure that, you look semi-healthy, and they go, congratulations, welcome to America. All right, in San Francisco, it's going to be a little different. There's a lot of people coming in to San Francisco and through Angel Island for, these Asian countries, and they're going to start to kind of limit that, and they're going to be more harsh, meaning it's harder for you to get in. And this is due to the high number of people, and this is going to lead to something that is going to kind of end this video, and that's going to be the Chinese Exclusion Act. Okay, the Chinese Exclusion Act is a dark period in, United States history. This is like the first time ever that the United States or the federal government has put a limitation on the amount of individuals coming into the United States, specifically based on their ethnicity. All right, so because these individuals are Chinese and they're coming in, they're going to say, no, you are not allowed to come into the United States based on the fact that you are Chinese, right? They don't need to give another explanation due to the Exclusion Act. Now, the Exclusion Act is, a very, very, very negative thing, and it's going to lead to a rise in something called nativism, meaning if you're not from the United States, people who are born in the United States and from the United States, they're not really going to like you as much. This is still around today, as you will see. It is probably more prevalent now. It's going to become more prevalent if you really watch the news as we're coming up to the next upcoming election. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the inventions and the rise in technology. So this is like the age of expansion. This is the age of industrial boom. The United States is going through the Industrial Revolution, and it is at like full steam ahead. Like, we are making a bunch of inventions. We are constantly getting better. We are becoming more technologically advanced at this time. If you're looking from a demographic standpoint or a demographic transition model, if you're a geography person or a human geography, we are advancing from that stage 2 into this stage 3, stage 4. We're getting more education. We're becoming more developed. Our birth rate starting to go down. Our death rate starting to drop due to modern medicine, science, and technology. And the United States is really starting to develop in this time period as we're going to get to the progressive era and the other eras to come, especially World War I and that stuff. Two guys I want to talk to you about. If you're on your worksheet, it's the last page. It's the last little section at the bottom. The first person I'm going to talk to you about is Alexander Graham Bell. Okay, bell, like a ringing. When you associate a ringing of the bell, you should associate the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell is going to lead to the telephone. And you're thinking, okay, great. On a test, it's not Alexander Graham Bell, creator of telephone. It's what did Alexander Graham Bell's telephone creation do to the advancement of the United States? So it's going to force your brain to think a little bit. So think about it like this. Without your telephone, a lot of you get on Schoology or get on Remind, whatever, using your phone, you would not be able to contact me, or you would not be able to get in contact with me. So the telephone is huge because, number one, it's going to increase efficiency, and number two, it's going to increase communication. So when you have that, businesses are going to work better, you can get messages across the United States, or I guess to certain parts of the United States, a lot quicker. You don't have to wait for the U.S. mail. You don't have to send a pigeon or whatever you want to talk about. It's a lot faster, which is very, very important. And the second person, which is the last person I'm going to talk to you about today, is Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is a very interesting character. He has like over, I forget what the number is, but definitely well over 200 patents that are like stuff that you would almost think about or use in your daily life. But I'm going to mention 3 that are big for him. The first one's going to be the light bulb. The second one's going to be the phonograph. And the third one's going to be the motion picture camera. Okay, so with the light bulb, the big thing with that, like I have right now, light. Okay, why does that matter? Because if I didn't have light, I wouldn't be able to work at night, right? You could work, but it'd obviously be by candle. So remember, this is a time of American expansion, right? So you're going to have more people in the factories. You're going to have more people wanting to work late at night. Many of you work at night because you get off from school and you work the last night shift. What this does is the light bulb allows people to get into factories and for factories to operate longer. Now, you all may be thinking, okay, there's got to be some closing hour. Not really. We haven't gotten to the point with Henry Ford and regulations on working and child working labor laws and like all that stuff yet. So people are really, the factories are really starting to hum, and they're really starting to knock out a lot of these products at this time. And then the last 2 you can kind of group together, the phonograph and the motion picture camera. Why are these important? Because it's going to unify America. It's going to give America its pastime, meaning like it's going to give you like a cultural event like going to the movies or going dancing or whatever. It gives America something in common, and it gives you activities to do outside of the workforce, which is really, really good. Obviously, you all enjoy that stuff. I enjoy it. So it becomes a pastime for many Americans. That's where we're going to stop today. Remember, I know I talked fast, so if you want to slow it down or do whatever, please feel free. Make sure you're keeping up with your notes. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure if you have anything that you like, don't like, talking too fast, not enough information, or questions maybe from the lecture, comment on the YouTube page, and I will make sure that I go in and answer them. Anytime you guys comment on anything, Schoology, YouTube, Remind, whatever, it obviously pops on my phone quick, so it gives me the ability to reach out to you right away if you do have an issue. But you guys have been great. So stay safe. Tomorrow, very excited. We are going to have our guest speaker, our first guest speaker. I'm about to go meet with him again right now to kind of make sure we're squared away on what we're doing. So make sure you guys are staying safe. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, Remind, YouTube, whatever it takes. Bye.
Thanks for watching History with House.
Don't forget to
like,
comment,
and subscribe.